Hi everyone, it's Anja here and I'm back with another video for Ophelia Talks. And in this video I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful baskets. We are going to be using materials that you might not otherwise be using up, and look at what gorgeous little baskets you can make with it. So what do you need for this basket? Well, of course, the t-shirt yarn to work around. Then I have here some mercerized cotton. This is from Yarn and Colors. It's the must-have range. This is 50 grams, 125 meters. I have basically just chosen it for the colors. So this one is limestone, eucalyptus, and glass. There we go. And then they are meant for a 2 to 3.5 millimeter hook. So I'm using my 3.5 millimeter. I have a stitch marker, my needle, a sharp darning needle, because it helps for putting in your ends through the t-shirt yarn. And then of course I also have my big scissors to cut the t-shirt yarn when it is time to cut it. So let's get started. With our t-shirt yarn, we are going to make a knot like so. Tighten it a little bit, then put the short end through again to make a double knot, and then making sure you have your two ends lying next to each other like this, and then you have your circle here to work around. So you might just want to pull that a little bit tighter to make it a little bit smaller, make it nice and tight like this. So using your cotton, you are going to do a slip knot, insert your hook, close the loop, and now we are going to do single crochets all around our little circle here. So we are going to work over the two strands of the circle, and we are going to get started right here over these two strands, right next to where the t-shirt yarn leaves the circle. So you insert, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the two loops on your hook. Then you are going to do about 12 single crochets going around this circle. So each time you insert into the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the two loops on your hook. Now you will see that my circle has distorted quite a bit, but that's okay. We can correct that in a moment. Okay, how many stitches have I got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. There we go. And now we are going to pull the t-shirt yarn, the long end, but also the shorter end. And look, my little circle is getting smaller and my stitches are tightening up a bit and closing up around the middle circle that we created. So pull a bit more, and then jiggle your stitches a bit more so that you have a nicely covered middle of your base. So you are now going to place the stitch marker in the last stitch that you just did, just to show that that will be the last stitch of your next round. And now we are going to start working. Let me just put this to the side. So we have our t-shirt yarn and our end here. And now we are going to start laying the t-shirt yarn over the stitches there. We're going to go into the first V here, picking up the two strands of the V, pulling up a loop, and making a single crochet, but of course with the t-shirt yarn in between. And we're going to go back into the same stitch and do another single crochet. So this round we are going to be doing 2 single crochets in each stitch around, each time picking up the 2 strands of the V, laying over the t-shirt yarn and working around the t-shirt yarn. Back into the same stitch to do my second one. And off we go, placing 2 single crochets in each stitch around. And of course, when you get to the stitch marker, you know that that is the end of your round. We are going to have to do several rounds of increases for a flat circle. So each time the ratio of stitches that we are going to place is going to be different to ensure that we have a flat base. So round 1 is 1 stitch, so to speak. Round 2 is 2 stitches in each stitch. So after a while, you have to make sure that you pull your t-shirt yarn just slightly to make sure that your stitches are nice and tightly together and that your work is still flat. So I have a couple of stitches to do on this second round here that we are doing. And then here I have my stitch marker in the last stitch. So I'll just take it out, do my last increase of the second round. And I am going to replace my stitch marker in the last stitch I just did, so that I know in the next round this is my last stitch as well. So now basically I start a new round and also a new ratio of increase. So this time we're doing round 3, so that means I have a stitch repeat of 3 stitches. Now the third stitch is the new stitch and the third stitch goes in with the previous stitch. So the stitch with the number of the round goes in with the previous stitch. So here we go, 1 stitch in the first one, a second stitch in the next one, so that's stitch 1 and stitch 2, and stitch 3 goes in with stitch number 2. And 1 stitch in the next and 2 stitches in the next stitch. And that is how you are going to keep on doing the increase for this row. There we go. And each time as well, hold on to your stitches, slightly pull the t-shirt yarn and just see if you can close up all the openings there. There we go, a little bit more. There we are. And so I continue doing my increase ratio for 3 stitches until I get to the stitch marker. Just taking out the stitch marker out of the last stitch there, and I have to do my increase there, so 2 single crochets in there, and then of course the stitch marker goes into that second single crochet because this is the last stitch of my round. So that was round 3. Now we are going to get started on round 4. So first of all, a slight adjustment of the t-shirt yarn, there we go, and now our increase ratio is a multiple of 4, so we are going to do 4 stitches, so first one in the first stitch, the second one there, so that's stitch 1 and 2, and then stitch 3 and 4 go in the third stitch. So stitch 4 is the new one and it goes in with number 3. So 1 single crochet on its own, another single crochet on its own, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So this is how you are going to continue doing the increase ratio for a flat circle in round 4. I will meet you at the stitch marker. So once again, I'm coming to the end, but I just wanted to show you that yes, it does go like this a bit, but it's easily sorted by pushing onto it, pulling your t-shirt yarn just slightly. I can feel it moving, and then there we go. So not too much, because of course you want it to be nice and flat. Then of course we are going to continue all the way up to the stitch marker. Layla is having some food under the desk. There we go. So the stitch marker, that's where I do my last pair of single crochets. There we go. And I replace my stitch marker into this stitch, as that's going to be the last one for the next round. So now, of course, we are on to the increase ratio of round 5, and that's a stitch repeat of 5 stitches. So you do 1, 1, 1, so that's 3 stitches, and then 4 and 5 go in the next stitch. And once again, you pull it slightly to tighten it all up a bit. And this is how you will continue. Four and 5 there. And make sure you keep pulling your t-shirt yarn, making sure that your base remains flat, like this. And I'm just getting to the end of my 5th row here, so removing the stitch marker, doing my last increase there, and of course replacing the stitch marker. And so now we're going to do another row of increases, and that's going to be row 6. So this time we are going to count to 6 for our stitch increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So each time just 1 stitch on their own, and then stitch 5 and 6 go together in the next stitch. There we go. And off we go again, doing our increase for the 6th row. And of course here I am still trying to make sure I keep my circle look nice and flat by pulling my t-shirt yarn just ever so slightly to make sure it all lies nice and flat. So I will see you at the stitch marker. And I'm just coming to the end of my round here, just doing the 2 single crochets in that last stitch. There we go. And I'm going to replace my stitch marker. There we go. So this is the base. We are now ready to get started on doing the sides. So for the first round of our side, we are going to be doing single crochets in the back loop only. So looking at the V, you're going to just pick up the back loop, and of course you are still working around your t-shirt yarn. So these are the 2 strands of the V, and this one here, which looks like the top one, is the back loop. And this will help to get started on the sides. So we are also no longer doing increases. So we're just putting 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So in this row, it's just in the back loop. So as you keep doing your stitches in the back loop only, remember you are also still adjusting your t-shirt yarn each time. So even now, when we are working on the side, it's even more important to keep pulling and adjusting. Look, that t-shirt yarn, and this way, look at that, I've already got an edge standing up. So I will see you when you get to the stitch marker. So look, I now have my first row standing up here, and I've made it to the stitch marker here. So from now on, I am going to be using both the strands of the V. So from now on, we are just going to be placing 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and you can just keep going until you think your basket is tall enough. Of course, keep adjusting your t-shirt yarn, keep pulling it, and keep making sure that you are achieving the straight sides. Now, it's not that easy because you need to adjust each time, assess, look, making sure that it is going to do what you want it to do. Look, this is completely out. So you hold on to it, pull the t-shirt yarn, you can feel it move. It moved there as well. So that way I knew that it was enough. Shape it. And look, we've added a little bit to it. So basically you are going to have to keep on doing this every so many stitches, and then you will be shaping it and making sure that your sides are growing up straight. So I will keep you posted and keep you updated on how it's going. We will sew in these later on, don't worry. Look at this, I've done a couple of rows more and my sides are growing up really, really well. I have been very diligent about pulling the t-shirt yarn after doing a number of stitches, and yes, it is growing up really, really nicely, and the sides are very straight indeed. So I'm really happy with how this is turning out. It is slow going because I am really being very careful to make sure that my sides are not going to be bulging out and that they are going to be nice and straight. So I will see you in a couple of more rows. And look at this. So yes, I have done another couple of rows. It's looking really nice. Again, slow going, as you need to keep on pulling that t-shirt yarn every time you do about 10 stitches maybe. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this. So I'm going to do another couple of more rows and then we will start the lid. So I've done another couple of rows. I've now got 7 rows here. It's about 7 centimeters tall, or about 3 inches. And I think that's tall enough. So we are now going to just cut off the t-shirt yarn. And I'm going to cut off with leaving a little bit of an end the cotton as well. So now it's time to get started on our lid. So we're just going to put this away for now because we will be attaching the lid to the basket later on. So I'm going to use the color Eucalyptus, and to make the little handle at the top, we're going to get started by making a slip knot, inserting your hook, closing the loop, and we're going to just take the t-shirt yarn, and you're going to do 20 single crochets around the t-shirt yarn. So just manipulating your hook around the t-shirt yarn, do your single crochet as you are used to. So that's 20 single crochets. Now you are now going to scoot them all together. So taking hold of your stitches like this, making sure it doesn't twirl around too much. Just pull the t-shirt yarn. See, can you see that the stitches are going closer and closer together? There we go, like this. And now manipulate it so it's a nice shape like this. And then holding this one out of the way, bring the two ends of the t-shirt yarn together, like so. Yeah. And now you're going to do 3 single crochets around both the strands of t-shirt yarn. So go around both, pick up the yarn and do your single crochet. Around and single crochet. So I'm going to do a third one here. There we go. Okay. Now obviously this doesn't look good, so what you need to do is pull the t-shirt yarn, and once again just make sure everything is shaped and lying nicely the way you want it, and then again you can pull the t-shirt yarn to make it almost as, you know, as big or as small as you want it, or as compact as you want your little handle to be. Then we are going to cut off the eucalyptus because I want to continue with my limestone color. So to get started with your new color, you're going to hold it as if you were already crocheting with it, and you do a chain. Then also pull the old color slightly again just to tighten up that loop there. Then just take out your hook for just a moment, and you are going to take the short end of the t-shirt yarn, lay it under your strand of t-shirt yarn there, bring it back and make a knot here, like so. So it is lying around your t-shirt yarn like this, and then you can pull this to make this loop smaller, but you have got to be able to get under it with your hook, because of course we are going to go around this to start going out. So put your hook back in, pull your loop closed again, hold on to the short strands in your hand, and now we are going to start crocheting, and we are going to loop our stitches under the 2 last strands here that we see here, which were of course from that last single crochet we did in this row. So pick up those 2 strands, then making sure you are also going around the t-shirt yarn. So those 2 strands of the t-shirt yarn, you do a single crochet. So you bring it back through those 2 loops and you do your single crochet. And you do that again, working over your 2 strands of t-shirt yarn, working around those 2 strands. Now if everything becomes a little bit distorted as it has done here, you're just going to have to pull the t-shirt yarn, push this t-shirt yarn there, and you can manipulate it later on as well. So I'm just going to keep going round, going under those 2 strands around the t-shirt yarn, doing my single crochets, and you need to do about 10, 12, just to make sure you have enough stitches to work with. And make sure you work your way around that little knot that we've laid earlier, and also make sure that you can still pull this one here, and if you pull it, then all the stitches will go that way a little bit, and that gives you more space to work here, because of course you have got to make sure you get back to there. This is again a little bit fiddly, but it is not impossible to do. Try it. Nothing's going to, you're not going to waste anything by just trying and trying again. But it's worth doing it because I do really love the look of this basket. So there we go. What have I got here? Look how it's looking. See? And we can make it look better in a moment by just manipulating everything where it should be. But first of all, I want to make sure I have 10, 12 stitches going round the little knot that we've just laid around that t-shirt yarn coming out from our handle. Layla's eating her biscuits underneath my desk. Can you hear it? Okay, so there we are. Now I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I'm going to do another couple of stitches. Let me just manipulate this a little bit here because I can't get to those 2 strands. There they are. Underneath, yeah, and I am working over this strand of t-shirt yarn as well. Pulling it as I go to make sure that I have enough t-shirt yarn to work with. There we go. And I'm going to do another one, because it's working at the moment. Okay, so now this t-shirt yarn can just stay out. Here I'm going to try and find that first V I did, and I am going to go under that, pull everything closed and do a slip stitch just to close my round. There we go. So this has all gotten a little bit distorted, but we pull this one and that one comes down, so that's okay. And now this one I am going to try and manipulate everything around this one and make it look nice. There we go. And so here I've got my nice little start, and here it's a little bit, yeah, it's okay, we can work with that. So of course these ends we will have to sew them in, so that's okay. This is the starting end, right? Okay, so now we are going to hold it like this, put my hook back in. So I'm going to chain 1, go into the first V that we see here, lay your t-shirt yarn over and bring up your yarn, do a single crochet. Same thing again, because we are doing an increase round, so we do 2 single crochets in each stitch. Next stitch, 2 single crochets. Next one, there we go. It's getting easier now. And once again, same thing as before, you are going to have to pull the t-shirt yarn to scoot over your stitches to make it look nice. And we are going to do exactly the same as with the base. Each round we will be doing another ratio of increase in our stitches. So you will have to do just about the same amount of rounds you did for your base as for your lid. I try and pull the t-shirt yarn a little bit harder than what I did with the base, so that you get that little domed shape. As you can see, it's already appearing. So this is where I decided to start my second round. So I'm going to nominate this one as my last stitch of my round here. So I will put a stitch marker in there. And so now we are going to start doing the increase ratio for the third row. So that means 1 single crochet, and then in the next stitch 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And of course I finished doing that at the stitch marker, and then I will do the next ratio of increase. So I will see you now when your lid is about the same size as the base or as the top of your basket. So I've done a few more rows here, and yeah, look, it's growing and I'm nearly there. So I have now done just about 6 rounds of increase for my lid, and what I keep doing is just sort of putting it down so the last rows are a little bit flatter than my middle rows, which are a little bit domed, as you can see. And I keep on sort of adjusting my t-shirt yarn as I go, but I have also been, of course, trying it onto my basket. And the way we are going to attach this, so we're going to bring these two together. So place that on top of there and just see whether it would fit. Now it does fit, but only just. So if I can show you, it fits like this. And really I want it a little bit more. I want it sort of just maybe touching, slightly overhanging. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep doing a few more stitches here, then replacing it, and then seeing how far it gets, because each time you do a few more stitches it gets a little bit bigger. So you can keep on doing this until you're happy with the way it sits on top of your basket. So this was my last stitch here, in the last stitch of that round. So I'm going to do another set of increases. So I'm going to just do 6 and then put the 7th one in with the 6, and then see where we get to. And 6 and 7 in this one here. Again, it won't make much difference, but this is how you're going to have to keep going until you're happy with the size of your lid. Okay, so yeah, a little bit more still. Also, you might want to take into account the way this is positioned. So if we put it like this, then it's going to be like that. So I might just need to do a bit more. Yeah, I'm going to work my way to just, so this would be the middle. So I'm going to work my way to about there, because we'll use these stitches to attach. Yeah. Okay, so that, if I put this there, like so, and I do some stitches there, then I can lift up like so. So then this is facing me if I've got the join there. Okay, so let's pull the t-shirt yarn here. So this is looking nice as well. Let's take the hook out and let me show you. Okay, so now we can start by attaching the 2 pieces together. So first of all, I'm going to cut off my t-shirt yarn here with a little bit of length. So there we go. So that's taken that out of the equation, which will help, I'm sure. And then of course here we've got this piece of t-shirt yarn as well. So what we are going to do now is we're going to lay the t-shirt yarn coming from the basket over this bit here. You are then going to take the t-shirt yarn coming from the lid, keeping your cotton to the back. You're going to put this over the t-shirt yarn there as well. And then you're going to insert your hook, get ready to start crocheting, holding both pieces together. You're going to go into the next stitch, so pick up the V. Then you are going to count about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches maybe, yeah. Counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, well, about 9 stitches there. Making sure you've got your t-shirt yarns laying there as well. You are now going to pull up the cotton, bring it through. Can I show you where I am here? Bring it through. Bring it through your V here and do your single crochet. Okay, so we are basically crocheting over both strands of the t-shirt yarn, and we are using both the V's. So the V on the lid into here, and then past the t-shirt yarn, the V there. Which one is the next one? There, that one there. Bringing the yarn through and doing our single crochet. Same thing again, and you will have to do this about 8 times because those are the stitches that we chose to do. Yeah, next one here. And try and work quite tightly, but again, so this one is the next stitch here. You'll have to just, it's a bit fiddly. It will all work out in the end. There we go. Into the next one. And of course, with our basket and our lid being the same color, it doesn't show then so clearly where we have attached them together. There we go. What's happening there? Yeah. See, look. So I've done, how many stitches have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that should be correct. And now, of course, this is my other stitch from the basket, so I'm fine. That's it. Okay, so let's cut off the cotton. Pull it through here. This one here as well, pull that one through. I cut that far too long, but you know, just to make sure. There we go. Okay, so now what we need to do is make all the ends disappear and, you know, clean it all up a bit. So we have quite a few things to deal with. So now, look, if you pull the t-shirt yarn on both sides, that will make it neater and you'll be able to have a lovely lid for your basket. There we go. See? Okay, let's deal with all the ends. Let's take a look here. So first of all, you're going to give it another pull, the t-shirt yarn here. Then taking your hook, go into the basket and come out just about where you can pull this through. There we go. Wrap it round, make sure it stays behind your hook while you pull it through to the inside. And now you can check, is it gone? Is it gone enough? There we go. I'm pulling it a little bit, so that's better. Okay. Then here we have cotton, and I'm going to put it on my needle, and I'm going to use it to go just around here where there is a little bit of t-shirt yarn visible. So you just go into the basket, there we go, and lay it where you want it to lay basically. Then I'm going to come back out because there's another bit here. So through the middle, I'm just poking up, yeah, there we go. And I'm going to put it through there. If you can't manage to do that, don't worry. If there is not any holes to cover up, then that's even better. Oh, I've gone through the t-shirt yarn, just pull it through, there we go. See, look. And with just doing those 2 strands, that's made me happy with how this looks. Okay, so now of course we have 2 strands on the inside, so try and put this one on your needle and sew that in a bit more. So I'm just going to go and pick up some cotton strands. There we are. Trying to avoid it going through t-shirt yarn. There we are. Okay, so cut off the cotton, and then here as well I'm just going to cut off the t-shirt yarn. There we go. And I'm happy with that for the inside. Then reshape your basket. And now we are going to have a look at the ends here. So we have these 2 strands of t-shirt yarn. They are overlapping each other. So I am just going to cut them off. And then I'm just going to slightly pull that apart, and then that should cover up the t-shirt yarn. There we go. Voila. And now I'm going to use my needle again. And I'm just going to sew in the end by, where shall I go? Shall I go in here and lay another strand over there? Look, like so. Come back out there, put another little strand there. Yeah, I think that looks okay like that. And then I'm going to go and do a bit more pulling here and then sewing in there. See? Voila. That's okay. Okay. And that is ready. Okay, so that can be cut off. There we go. And then this one here, you're just going to have to make sure that these 2 bits attach. So I'm going to go into and around a V here. There we go, around this one. See? And lift that out like so, and then go back in here. Just so that the 2 bits are connected and that those V's are sort of like, you know, continuing almost without noticing that it is from a different part. And then you sew in that end as well along the inside of your basket. Okay, so that is that. And then of course we have this to deal with. I rolled it round because it made it easier to work with. So first of all, I am going to try and get rid of the t-shirt yarn on the outside. So once again, same thing. Look down. See if you can get your hook in from the base, from below. Yeah, there we go. And pull it through. Okay, yeah, it only went through partly, but that's fine because now I can pull the rest through. And there it is gone. So that's a whole improvement already. And then once again here, You could just leave it there. I mean, nobody's going to notice it there. But what you could do is just cut it off neatly. There we go. Okay, and then once again here we are going to have to do the limestone color, and I'm just going to go into the lid with it. There we go, and just a couple of sewing ins here. There we go. Cut it off. And then of course here we have the eucalyptus color to deal with, and we are going to have to make sure that of course we sew it into the eucalyptus color, but also that we keep our nice shape of our little handle there. So I'm going to get started with this one. And I don't know whether you can see, yeah, there we are. There's the V's all around, and here is a V, but I'm going to try and recreate a V there. So it looks as if it was, you know, a circular creation there. And I'm trying to go into there without the t-shirt yarn, because otherwise it will be very hard to pull. There we go, look. See, and it looks a little bit, yeah, that's a bit neater. That's okay. And so then you go through it again, making sure you don't distort it. Getting rid of this end. And then there's just one last one to go. Again, same thing. Try and keep it into the eucalyptus color. So I just go into there at the base towards the back. I'm coming out right there, that's fine. And this is a thinner needle than I normally use for DK yarn, see? So it is easier to get through the t-shirt yarn, and of course also to get through the cotton. Oops, I distorted this a little bit, so making sure you don't do that. There we go. And that's it, sewn in. Phew. And all you need to do now is reshape your basket slightly. Because after all that manipulating, it needs it. And here we go. We've made a little basket. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this process, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.